Thank you all. Thank you for joining us here for the next in the Admiral Markets Trading Spotlight webinar series. And here we are today to talk about how to create a checklist for your trading. It's kind of a it might not be the most sexy of topics, but it's actually, for those of us who've traded for a long time, you realize that it actually becomes one of the most critical, one of the most important elements, and it can go a long way towards actually helping you develop and become the best trader you possibly can be. As always, we really appreciate you joining us today, and we've got lots to cover in our particular session. As always, it really helps me to sort of help you to make the most of our session. If you can just maybe answer just a quick question in the chat box, if you can just let us know if you know what a checklist is for your trading, or if you actually are already using them in your own trading. Please put that in the comment box, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, please feel free to comment that to let us know what's your kind of experiences of using checklists as it is all as well, because that always helps us sort of trying to be able to sort of to help you as much as possible. So I've seen there's a message there from, I think it's Svanis. I apologize if I've pronounced that wrong, but he said he has no idea what a checklist is for his trading, but he knows what a watch list is. Well, a checklist is different from a watch list, but a watch list can be part of your checklist, and we can discuss about that later on. But as I said, we're here to help you and answer your questions, and we've got lots to cover and flow through. So please feel free to get in and ask away. We'll be very happy to help you. So what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about today? Well, we talk about, where do checklists come from? All right, what is it? What part of like kind of human evolution and development did they come from, and why are checklists important? And it's a case of recognizing that they have developed out certain industries, and that they're used because they work, and actually that we can utilize that technology, utilize that information to help us with our own trading. Okay, and I'm hopefully going to share that with you as well today. We talk maybe a little bit briefly about what are the different types that a trader requires, and we'll touch upon that generally. I appreciate that this is kind of an introduction for people like Savanas who don't really know or understand what a checklist is for trading. So it's about being able to give you a little bit of an educated introduction into how you can utilize that. And well, there you go. That's the most important thing, is how can we use them to improve your trading? We all as traders, okay, are constantly looking to improve ourselves, okay, as traders and in our trading performance. And, and it doesn't really matter if you've been trading for 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 decades, okay. All good traders are looking at ways that they can utilize whatever's out there to help them improve in their trading. And if you're not using checklists, I can assure you that they will actually be able to help you. And look at how do you create a simple one for your own trading? I'm always very big on you being able to take something from the session and utilize it tomorrow straight away in your own trading business. We want to be able to help you quickly and effectively for during this sort of trading spotlight webinar series. So for me, okay, regards, if you don't know me, my name's Paul Wallace. I had a career in my youth as an Air Force battle manager, which was nicely linked into conversations about checklists. But I've traded for many years, traded for myself, but also for hedge funds and high net worth clients. For my own trading, I like to focus on FX indices and commodities, and I'm a sort of a dominant trend trader for my sort of swing and position trading, and I'm a mean reversion trader for intraday trading. And yeah, part of my experience, one of the good things about being able to talk to you today about checklists is that it comes out of some of my own experiences as well, and and I can talk about how it's helped me enormously in my growth and development as a trader. So, we're here at Admiral Markets, and as you can see, Admiral Markets, they're a Forex and CFD broker with over 8,000 financial instruments, and we have offices in 20 plus countries, so global expertise with local support. Admiral Markets is regulated and authorized across many regulatory environments globally, and they're providing competitive spreads on popular trading products like the Euro Dollar and the DAX 30 there, and they offer you the ability to engage with markets on two of the world's most popular trading platforms, MT4 and MT5, which you can access through your phone, your desktop and browser, and you also have the opportunity to utilize the Admiral Markets Supreme Edition plugin. If you have any more questions, well then, by all means, you can check out the Admiral Markets website, or if you can get in touch with your account representative, and they'll be very happy to help guide you where necessary. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to sort of build the Trading Spotlight community, and this is an opportunity to get support after the webinar when you most need it. So you can, we can talk about some of the elements that we discussed in either my webinars or the ones that of my colleagues Marcus and Jens, who create and deliver some fantastic content there on the Trading Spotlight page on Traders Yard. And after this session, I'll be in the Traders Yard room for about 30 minutes. So if you've got any questions about trading, or if you've got any questions about what we're covering here today in checklists, then please, I'll be there for about half an hour or so. So please come in, join us. I'll quite happily take your questions. And you can see that you can register with Traders Yard, tradersyard.com, and the Trading Spotlight group is tradersyard.com/group/312. And as I said, I'll be there after this session, so please feel free to come and join us, and we'll happily talk about your checklist or anything else of particular trading interest that might be sort of keeping you awake at night. So, it is today all about, how to create a checklist for your trading. And what you find, okay, when I speak with traders, all the time, day in, day out, from traders who are new retail traders through to institutional traders who've been trading for 2 decades, okay, and very often what we see, or what you come across, is that many traders, when they start out on their journey, they consider themselves to be sort of purely discretionary traders, all right? So they just want to open a laptop, look at a chart, and just start putting on trades, okay, without any real kind of method, maybe not without any real plan, maybe just chasing what they think is where the momentum is, in terms of any particular big moves that are happening. And so they kind of look to sort of think that they can operate like that. But as you develop with sort of I need to develop in terms of your experience and your knowledge and your sort of exposure to trading financial markets, the more you actually realize that good traders, we need an element of some structure. You have to remember that financial markets are in some respects a kind of completely boundaryless environment, all right? There's markets once they're inside there, let's say they're open, when markets are open, they're kind of completely literally boundaryless in terms of you can do whatever you wish. You want to buy, you want to sell, okay, you want to do nothing. You are operating without any kind of boundaries whatsoever, maybe the only boundary being the size of your capital. But what you realize is that within that sort of boundaryless environment, it becomes very easy to sort of, to lose yourself. It becomes very easy to become sort of quite impulsive in your decision making. And actually what we realize is that, the traders, they need an element of some structure, okay? Some kind of framework that allows them to sort of develop and grow as a trader. And very often, it takes some failure to realize that those particular challenges need to be addressed. And in a very fast-moving market, it's very easy to miss those important steps in your trading plan, which can have a detrimental effect on your performance. For people who are trying to, let's say, scalp markets, or even just trading intraday, when markets move very fast, things can happen, things can get missed, mistakes can be made, because of course things are happening at sort of a pace and an intensity that you may not be used to. And when that happens, what it does is it sort of it just kind of expands the opportunity for mistakes to happen. And it's here where having some simple checklists may just help you keep out of trouble and keep on the right side of the market moves. So, with that in mind, where do checklists actually come from? Well, as I said earlier on, this is where some of my own earlier background comes back to sort of to help me, is that checklists actually first started in military aviation back in around about the sort of 1920s, 1930s, kind of golden age of aviation in terms of after the First World War. There was just a huge rush of all kind of aviation technological sort of developments, and what happened is that increasingly we saw that the very first basic aircraft, as they went from being single engine aircraft towards being multi-engine aircraft, well, then what they also noticed was that the number of accidents increased with aircraft. And what they found was that as the complexity of the aircraft increased and as the pace of everything was happening, the ability to make human errors increased as well. And what we saw was that if you just think about it, if you're a pilot, flying an airplane is a complex task at any rate. But if you're going from just having to operate one engine, but now you have to operate in some cases 4 engines, well, that is just 4 extra bits of input that are happening. If you have a problem with the engine, certainly at particular sort of let's say crucial times of the flight plan or the flight path, when you're trying to take off or when you're trying to land, well, then invariably everything happens very quickly. You have it's very easy to be overwhelmed with the intensity of what is actually happening. And what they found was that as the pace and the complexity increased, so did the accidents. But what happened is that therefore they created very simple checklists, very simple checklists for pilots and aircrew to help ensure that human errors were avoided wherever possible. Now, occasionally they still do it because things occur, but actually what they found is that checklists, they're very, very simple, but that invariably it helped enormously in terms of just basically allowing the human brain to be able to manage let's say trying periods when something's gone wrong in your aircraft, when you've lost the engines on takeoff and you're trying to actually stay alive, basically. So they created checklists to help ensure that, as I said, those human errors were avoided wherever possible. And that's where checklists originally came from. And it's thanks very everyone for the comments there. It's yep, absolutely. It's Samuel, thank you all for joining us. It's great. And you can see there the link for the Traders Yard group there. After the session, after the event, please feel free to join us. You'll be very, very welcome. But what you see is from that day to this is that invariably throughout aviation, checklists have become de rigueur. It doesn't really matter when you're going to get on your flight to your holidays, wherever you may be going. Maybe you're going to Florida or Thailand or wherever you wish to go on your holidays. When you sit down on that airliner, and the pilots they get on board the aircraft, it doesn't matter if it's that pilot's first day on the job or their last day on the job after 35 years of being an airline pilot. Those pilots, that aircrew, will go through their checklists. They have their checklists for pre-flight, for pre-takeoff, during flight, preparing for landing, for landing. They go through it. They go through it and they do it, and they do it every single time, and they do it because they know it works. They do it because they know it works. And the actual industry itself, so the big aircraft manufacturers, so you're probably looking at Boeing and Airbus, they spend millions and millions of dollars on building robust checklists to help aircrew. They spend an absolute fortune on it because it works. All right, so if they know that it works and they know that it helps keep people safe, well then what can we learn from that as traders? Very often what I find is, when I talk about checklists to traders, check the as I said, checklists, people don't get too excited about it. It's not a sexy subject, when you could be looking at, fascinating, fast-moving charts. But the truth is, and I can tell you this from coaching people for 10 years or so, is that, the people who have good checklists in their trading business and who follow them and who stick to them, they are the ones who are, they're the ones who improve the fastest as traders. And we'll talk a little bit about why that happens later, but I can't help say, if the aviation industry knows, okay, that these checklists work, and what you have to remember is the aviation industry, there's a very high consequence for failure, okay? When failure happens, things go wrong, people lose their lives, okay? And that's why they sort of embody such such kind of importance and onus on checklists, and it's definitely something that good traders will learn from as well. And kind of one of the elements of it is that you see it's not just the aviation industries that actually start to see quite a lot of industries will sort of take on board the fact that using checklists allows us sort of the individual to sort of improve, whether you're an air traffic controller or whether you're working as a doctor or nurse in accident emergency, or you're a commercial pilot, or you're involved in the military. And one of the things they say for veterans, okay, ex-military, is that skill is a drill, okay? Skill is a drill, all right? And that's exactly the same for traders, okay? And you can realize that confidence, okay, your confidence as a trader comes from your competence, okay, your ability to trade. That comes from developing skills, okay? You develop your skills from drilling, okay, from going through it. Drilling is normally, it's a process until response becomes automatic, and that's the key element at the bottom, okay? All right, skill is a drill, all right? You follow a process until the response becomes automatic, and that becomes massively important, okay? That becomes massively important, okay? It's as very often new traders, they go in and think they don't need to, that they can just come in like the sort of like a gunslinger in the sort of old cowboy and Indian westerns, okay? They just come in and shoot off trades like they're in some cowboy in a western. But the actual truth of the matter is, for good doctors and nurses and A&E, for good air traffic controllers, for good commercial pilots, for good military operatives, all right, they know that skill is a drill, all right? You follow the process until response becomes automatic. And that's why checklists can start to help you as a trader. And what they learn is, just to build on that and sort of understand why it becomes so important in terms of checklists, is one of the other things that kind of veterans have, one of the edges that they can carry into the trading, which you can learn from, is, as I said, recognizing that skill is a drill. But interestingly, what they realize is that, three simple things can sort of help you improve: process, discipline, and self-awareness. And interestingly, I was at a traders conference a few years ago, and a woman stood up who's a former fund manager, and now she helps working with doing kind of behavioral work for traders and fund managers who operate in the 1 billion plus, okay, in terms of managing the sort of their funds and trading accounts. And what she came through is, she, having done for years and years of working with good traders, good fund managers, is that it actually kept coming back to these three simple elements: process, discipline, and self-awareness, okay? That's what veterans have, and that's what good traders develop, okay? And the good thing is, those things, process, discipline, self-awareness, they are not God-given traits, okay? Anybody can work on that to develop that within their their trading repertoire. I look there, if you look at the top left on the process, the photo there is of the aircraft that landed in the Hudson River in New York. You might remember that for about 8 or 9 years ago. There's a very good movie starring Tom Hanks, okay, about the Captain Sullenberger, who had been a military pilot. And if you listen to the interviews with Sully, he's clearly a very good pilot, very experienced, but you listen to him talk about how he managed and handled that particular emergency. He had basically a double engine failure, just have to take off. But if you listen to him and hear what he says, is that he talks about how, him and his crew, they referred to the checklists. They got the checklists out, okay, and they followed it through. And the reason is because by following the checklists, you don't miss anything when things are happening fast, when you're in danger. It stops you, it gets you to go through the right things, to make sure the right things are done at the right times to give you the best chance of success. And by following that process, well, that needs a bit of discipline, and discipline is like a muscle. The easier it is to follow a checklist, the actually easier it is to build your discipline. And finally, there you have self-awareness. Well, what does that mean in aviation? In aviation and military and other elements, that means about debriefing, okay? By debriefing your performance after every flight or after every mission, okay, after every episode, okay? Well, then you debrief, because by debriefing, you learn from your faults. That raises your self-awareness, and the more self-aware you are, the more you're actually in an ability to connect with the market and actually learn and understand. So as I said, these things, skill is a drill, okay, and it comes from process, discipline, and self-awareness. But all of these elements are elements that you as a trader, regardless of your background, okay, regardless of your background or your experiences, those are 3 elements that can be learned, okay? They are not God-given traits. They are something that you can challenge yourself to work at day after day after day. And the best traders I work with, and I've been fortunate to work with some fantastically capable traders who operate either as private traders or as traders for banks or as fund managers, they all embody process, discipline, and self-awareness in their trading. And I can talk about why it works. Okay, I can talk about how I've seen it with my own eyes. Okay, that's a very much younger me there. Okay, as a young RAF officer there. Okay, on flying on the AWACS of 8 Squadron, the RAF during the Bosnia War in '92, and I got to see it single-handedly how the sort of air crews operate under intense, absolutely intense operating environments, and how those checklists make a huge contribution to being able to operate effectively in when environments become rather intense, shall we say. And if you wish to read a book about it, then I get all of my kind of clients to read this book called the Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande. Okay, and it's one of those books, ladies and gentlemen, that it's not about trading, but as you read it, you'll realize this is all about trading. And what I mean by that is Atul Gawande was, I think, a Harvard educated surgeon, okay, and he was actually sort of tasked by the United Nations to understand why there were so many mistakes, or why there was actually so many deaths happening in surgery around the world. And what they found was that teams were either a little bit complacent, or they were under intense pressure, and elements got missed, okay, during the surgical procedures. And as elements got missed, that allowed for accidents to happen, okay, and those accidents could have quite serious consequences. And invariably, they have found out that what could actually help those surgeons, okay, in those kind of operating theaters, was that actually the development of simple checklists that allowed the whole team to come together, work well, to deal with any kind of unexpected occurrences that might happen. And he learned that by going to understand about how checklists and how military aviation use them. He also touches in that book about how really successful investment funds use simple checklists in terms of how they go about developing their own sort of decision-making processes for which investments to hold and which investments to divest themselves of. So if you want a little bit of a sort of reading material for these long winter nights, then I can guarantee that reading the Checklist Manifesto is a fascinating book, and I guarantee if you take it on board, it will help you develop as a trader. So, that's all well and good, and hopefully I've tried to get across the message, that they're simple, that they are effective, and that, as traders, you should be using them. But, as for traders, well, how do we do it? Why do we do them? Okay, why are we looking to use them? Well, what we can start with is that we can use checklists to create a simple daily routine to help us ensure we miss nothing. Remember, a few slides back, I was talking about how, process can be key. Process can be key. And if you can use a checklist to create some simply daily routines, that helps us ensure that we miss nothing. It helps us ensure that we're in the right trading state to operate effectively every day. And we can also then delve deeper and start to create specific trading checklists for our favorite setups or our favorite instruments. And together, this can become the basis of a tactical trading plan for some success. Okay, all of these things, as I said, simple elements that you can utilize that can actually help all of us in terms of developing a kind of a tactical trading plan. Your tactical trading plan being what it covers invariably your checklists, your watch lists, your setups, your routines. Okay, that's what comes together to help ensure that you have the best possibility of success in your trading endeavors. So how do we prepare for our trading day? Okay, and I'm not going to go through all of these today because of the sort of the time, but we're going to have a little look at, well, building a checklist that can help us with building a simple routine. Well, we need that for the start of the day. Okay, we need to look at that, how pre-market. Okay, specifically depending upon which kind of instruments we look to trade. We might want to have checklists and routine during the actual market opening, all right, in terms of structure of how we play the sort of developing structure within a market. You might actually have checklists and a simple routine for what you do in between sessions. And what I mean by that is that might be, in the morning, you might be trading the European session. The afternoon, you might be trading the American session. Or for those of our guests joining us from around the world, you might be trading the Pacific session, or the Asian session, depending upon where you are in the world. But also, you'd also want some sort of checklists and routine to how you deal with post-market. Remember what I said a few slides back, okay? Developing self-awareness comes from basically being able to ensure that you debrief after your trading sessions, and it's possible to have just even like simple sort of trading checklists to help you with that. But today, let's just have a little look at kind of start of the day to give you a little bit of an idea of how you can have those checklists, how you can have develop those routines, and then we'll look at maybe some specific trading checklists as well itself. So, firstly, what I like to sort of get across is, it's important for traders that, let's just say, for example, we're trading the European session. Okay, European session, as a general rule, looks to start, what would be about 7 o'clock London, 8 o'clock sort of continental Europe. And what I sort of tell traders is that, you need to be prepared to be at your desk sort of 30 to 60 minutes before the session opens if you're going to be prepared. I know that in the modern day with modern connectivity, it's kind of very, let's say it's very convenient, or might be very attractive to be able to sort of, set your alarm for 5 minutes before the German markets open there for 5 to 7 for those of us in the UK, and roll out of bed in your dressing gown, okay, and be ready to sort of kick off your trading, or even trade from your bed on your iPad. I know that that all sounds very appealing, but the truth of the matter is, okay, that is not how I would want you to conduct your trading business. Okay, so about being prepared to be at your desk 30 to 60 minutes before the session opens. Why is that? Well, this is your trading business, ladies and gentlemen, all right? And, I encourage you to take it seriously. You need to show the market some respect, okay? You need to show your trading business some respect. You need to show your trading capital some respect, okay? And, I try to get that across. It's, in trading, you're either an amateur with a hobby or you're a professional with a business. The choice is yours, ladies and gentlemen. The choice is yours, okay? If you want to be a professional with a business, then you'll be prepared to be at your desk 30 to 60 minutes before your session opens. So that, as I said, you can be prepared, you can be ready. You can go through your pre-market routines. You can go through your checklists to ensure that you miss nothing, so that you are prepared as well as you may possibly can be in order to make the best of the upcoming trading session. So, here's an example of some of the stuff that I do myself, okay, just to give you an idea of how I get my pre-market routine, how it's a little checklist that I actually follow through. So, if you're a very early riser, you can use even apps like the iPhone sleep cycle. Make sure you're stretched, you're fueled and hydrated for the upcoming session. My winner's Bible is actually my own just little gratitude journal, okay, that helps me sort of get in the right mindset for my trading day. I go through a series of questions that I sort of almost have as a checklist to make sure that I'm in the right space to trade. I'll write a few notes in my journal about, what's been going on, how I'm feeling. I look to spend a little bit of time visualizing the session, to focus on, being grateful that I'm in a fantastic position to be able to get up and enjoy engaging with markets. I like to even listen to a little bit of the right music. I'm sure we all have our own particular favorites. As I was writing this, "Give Me the Prize" by Queen. Okay, I'm showing my age there, ladies and gentlemen, but it is a great song. Okay, it is a great song, and it just gets me a little bit ready for what's coming ahead for me. Okay, and Vincenzo says, "Queen, nice choice." See, there you go, Vincenzo. I knew that we'd be getting on for many good reasons there. Okay, clearly I've got good choice in your music. But then, I'll be looking at, I do my psychological fitness routine here, and it's only after I've done all that, then is only when I start to fire at my computers. and start to, look at what's the calendar for the upcoming news. That's very crucial if you're going to be an intraday trader. How did the US indices finish last night? I want to have an idea. Is that going to flow through into the European session? What did the overnight Asian session do? Was there anything particular spectacular happened? As an FX trader, I want to see, well, where's the US dollar, okay? Has it overnight? Has it been strong or has it been weak? And I'll look at the futures, okay? What are the futures saying for the DAX and the FTSE as they open? So I'm building a picture. But I have this as a little bit of a checklist that I can literally just go through to make sure that, I'm in the right space. And not unsurprisingly, when I follow that checklist, I tend to have better sessions in terms of how I actually perform. It might not impact upon the results, okay, because a trade can do anything once it's open. But in terms of, executing my trading plan, when I follow my pre-market routine, tick off my checklist, it tends to go much, much better. And so I asked myself a few questions as well, okay? Am I bringing any emotional baggage to the day's trade, okay? Am I carrying over any frustrations from a previous, lost trade or missed opportunity? Am I feeling any particular pressure to make winning trades? Because that doesn't help me either. Am I prepared? Okay, have I, done my analysis for the day? How am I feeling about how those particular markets? People think that, as a professional trader, you just flick on your charts, and okay, and you look at it, and you're instantly in tune with the market. And certainly that doesn't happen for me. There are occasions where you're naturally just in tune, but what I feel is that, I have to do some work. I have to follow my checklist, and by following my checklist, it's almost like spooling up my brain to get ready to work at the level of intensity that's required. And yet, do I know if there's any economic reports? Okay, it's important to consult that economic calendar, make sure you know what the expectations are if you have positions open or if you're going to be trading around that, to know how to manage yourself accordingly. I might be putting myself through, going through these questions as part of my checklist. What am I working on? Do I have any particular goals for the day? Are there any particular mistakes that I've been working on that need to be corrected? What are the kind of improvements that I'm building on in my own trading? And what kind of trades have been working best for me recently, all right? Okay, if I'm intraday trading, what kind of mean reversion setups have been particularly successful for me recently? What did I do well in yesterday's trading that I'm going to continue today? It's that kind of commitment to continuous performance. And crucially, there's what would make my trading day a success, even if I don't make money, which might sound a bit strange to people, but what will happen is, you realize is that, if I have done my checklists, done my pre-market routine, planned my trade, traded my plan, managed my risk, well, then my trading day is a success, regardless of the outcome, okay? My trading day is a success. And that leads on to, other deeper conversations about managing your confidence and your self-belief as a trader, which are key and crucial. So, in terms of, creating a checklist and a tactical trading plan, one of the reasons we do it is because it gives you that structure, all right? It gives you structure, consistency, discipline. And with that comes out of that is it gives you the opportunity to have reduced errors and also reduced emotional turmoil, which happens a good deal more than you might consider. So the overall effect is that checklists improve results, okay? And as I said, I've worked with, hundreds, perhaps thousands of traders over years, and the ones who use checklists are the ones who make the best progress. So how could you create one? Well, preferably single page, okay? Just simple, sit down. Don't expect it to be perfect from the start. Just start, sit down, take a single page, checklist style, almost like you have to tick it off, all right? It should be easy to interpret in that, a 10-year-old child could trade it, okay? You could hand the checklist to your 10-year-old son and they should be able to follow it. Define your risk management principles very clearly, where you're getting in, where you're going to get out for a loss, where you get out for a profit in your particular trade setups. And it's very simple, okay? As I said, you don't expect it to be perfect, all right? But, this is just an example of one, I've worked with the clients on. This is just for trading pin bars. You might remember that from the price action webinar, which you'll find earlier back in the Trading Spotlight series. And you can do this for, your favorite trading setups, all right? Just trial it and refine it as you take the trades. The more you do it, okay, the more you will identify your strengths as a trader, uncover your weaknesses, discover areas for development, and train yourself until the process becomes automatic. Remember that, okay? Train yourself until the process becomes automatic. And that's what we're getting to, okay? That's what we're looking at. And hopefully you can see there, okay, that's, as I said, that's a very simple checklist for trading sort of pin bars there, okay? And it's just literally ticking it off, okay, as you go down. Just being able to do that, you know, and when you're getting a sufficient number of ticks, well, I know that I have covered everything. I'm making sure and ensuring that I'm not missing anything, okay? It just keeps it a very simple way to make sure I do the right things at the right times, especially if you're an intraday trader, when things could be happening quite swiftly and there might be a good deal of intensity and the pressure is on. Trust me, checklists work. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, checklists came out of the increasing complexity in military aviation, and they're now used by many industries because they work. Traders can learn from them and use them to bring consistency to their own performance as a trader. Checklists allow you to ensure that you do not miss anything and to practice your actions until it becomes an automatic response, which, especially for intraday traders, is key, okay? Absolutely key, all right? So, I hope you found that useful and interesting. Oops, 1 second. As I said, if you've got questions or if you want to talk to me about checklists, or if maybe you want to sort of share on one of your own checklists, I'm going to be in the Trading Spotlight Traders Yard here for the next half an hour after our session here. Please feel free to come and join me. I'll put up 1 or 2 of the sort of trade views from today as well. And, you know, as I said, you know, not only myself, but my colleagues Marcus and Jens put in some fantastic content there. So please sign up and come and join us there. And we look forward to spending some time with you. And as always, don't forget to join us next time. And actually, here we are. Actually, this is the same time on Monday. Well, you're going to join me. I'm going to be back on Monday to sort of talk about how to successfully trade counter trend lines. Talk about what are counter trend lines, how do we go about identifying them, and how do you actually trade them? What is in it for you? So, as always, that's going to be 2 o'clock London time on Monday, November 18th. You can check your inbox for the webinar link, or you can go over to the Admiral site to register for the live webinars. And as always, there's plenty of analysis and education on the admiralmarkets.com website. And if you have any questions after this, maybe you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to like and comment it, but you can contact us at hello@admiralmarkets.com, youtube.com/admiralmarkets, and facebook.com/admiralmarketsglobal. So as I said, I hope you found that useful, ladies and gentlemen. And I cannot reiterate that, you know, the traders I know who develop and build and utilize their own simple checklists are the ones who, you know, who tend to have the best longevity in terms of performance as a trader. Okay, it's a tried and tested formula. I appreciate it's not as exciting and as sexy as looking at charts or a particular setup, but in many ways, building checklists into your trading practice will actually have a bigger impact upon your overall success as a trader. And as always, you know, I wish you the very best of success in your own trading. And you know, if you want to come and join us in Traders Yard after it, you'll be very, very welcome. Samuel says that, thanks, Paul. I trade, and most time I lost is that the software scanner is talking about will we be recommending for when to use one in trading. As a general rule, no, we don't really talk about you know, software scanners. We're very much talking about, you know, how you can use basically a simple checklist that develops a simple watch list that you can have that will actually help you sort of find the best trades that are suitable for you. If you go through a lot of the Trading Spotlight previous webinars, you'll find that there's a plethora of fantastic information from myself and from Jens and Marcus on all different types of trading setups. And you know, I can heartily recommend you go and take them on board and find the ones that work with yourselves the very, very best. So as I said, I hope you found that useful. Appreciate you joining us, okay? Appreciate your interaction. It's always, we always enjoy that. And I look forward to speaking to you at one of the future Trading Spotlight webinars. Trade well, ladies and gentlemen.